Hello, Professor Alatorre. My name is Crystal Boyd. This is my persuasion speech on the death penalty. This is for Craven Community College. Hello, everybody. My name is Crystal Boyd, and tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about the death penalty. I would like to begin by telling a little bit of a story. And I would like for you to imagine that you're on your way home from the grocery store, on your way back to your kids, when detectives pull up beside you in a car, and they grab you and they throw you in the car and they take you down to the interrogation room. And there they proceed to beat and torture you until you confess to a murder that you didn't commit. You don't know any of the people that are involved. You don't know anything about it. And finally you confess to the murder just so they will let you go. You go to jail and you start to complain and tell others that the only reason you confessed was because you were beaten and tortured. And no one wants to hear your pleas or your cries of innocence. They don't want to hear it. You go to court and you are convicted and put on death row for a murder that you didn't commit. And you think this is not possible. Well, this can happen, and this did happen to a young man, and he was 24 years old when this happened at this time, and he was this happened to him in 1988. He is still in prison for murders that he did not commit, and the officers that were involved were exposed of what they were doing. And when he came forward, and when evidence came forth, there were 60 other people that were convicted of crimes that they didn't commit. And he just had an appeal, but he's still in jail waiting for the final, his final court date so that he can be completely cleared. But that's a long time that he's lost all this time with his children, all this time with his mother, his wife, all this time that he's missing for because of a crime that he didn't commit. And this happens all too often. It happens more often than what we realize. And this is one of the main reasons why I oppose the death penalty, and especially its use in the United States. And according to the Death Penalty Information Center, there were 8 people that they know of that were convicted of crimes that later found out that they did not commit them. They were innocent. And one of the young men, his name was Carlos de Luna in Texas, was convicted of a fatal stabbing of a woman. And 2 investigators, or 2 reporters for the Chicago Tribune, and this is comes from one of their articles, stated that an innocent man was convicted and executed for a crime that he didn't commit. And another man named Carlos Hernandez actually confessed to the murder. And this is before that he was executed. He confessed to the murder and also was convicted in the past of similar crimes. And they still executed Carlos de Luna for these murders. And there were 7 others for the same thing. And this is what they're proven innocence right in front of you. And they were still convicted. And that's why I just strongly oppose the death penalty for these reasons. Also, it's not a deterrent of crime, and that what some of the people who are for the death penalty say, well, it'll deter crime and it'll get rid of some of our worst people if you go ahead and execute them. Well, all you have to do is turn on the evening news and you can see that it's not a deterrent of crime. It's not. And so that right there, they could just do away with that because there's no proof that it's a deterrent of crime. And then I would like to look at the cost of it. And I was really shocked when I looked at the cost of it, and this comes from a study done by Duke University. They did a study. Now this was in 1993, mind you, everything has gone up since then. In 1993, they did a study that said that it cost the state of North Carolina $2.16 million over what it will cost somebody that is serving life without possibility of parole. So what I'm saying is, with all that it costs to keep a person in prison for the rest of their life without possibility of parole, you take that and then add $2.16 million to that, and that's what it costs the state of North Carolina per execution. That's not a total, that's per execution. So, and then North Carolina is right now saying that we're in the red. We don't have funds for this, and we don't have funds for education, we don't have enough funds for this. We're cutting health care, but we're going to put money aside to execute somebody. And then I looked at the studies of how many people were wrongfully convicted that they had to let go. 115 people of the 25 states, our United States, they had to let go, and 6 of those were from North Carolina. because they were innocent. Now suppose their date came up to be executed before the information came forth to let them go. That's 115 more people that would have been gone. So then my question is the capital punishment, is it because of justice that we're doing it? Or is it to please the families that have lost? And I'm not in any way, you know, downplaying their loss, but we shouldn't do it in such a way that we say, well, somebody has to die for it, no matter who it is. That's not justice. So then, you know, what do we hope to achieve by doing that? If we're doing the capital punishment system and we really look at it, and then we already look too, it's not applied fairly. If you look at the numbers, and I was looking at the numbers from this is according to the Death Penalty Information Center also, that the numbers of blacks that were convicted of crimes as to whites, it was really, really high, especially in crimes where the perpetrator was black and the victim was white. The numbers were way up there. And so it's not applied fairly. And then, you know, the very few women ever get the death penalty also. So it's not applied fairly. And then in cases where innocence, and we're saying what is the value of a human life, and most time when people say that, they're referring to the victims of the crime, and that's true. But what about these other people also? Because they're victims. Like this other man that I just mentioned, they just picked him up off the street. He's on his way home with groceries, and some men just come and pick him up and beat and torture him until he confesses to a crime that he knows he didn't commit, and they know he didn't commit. And so once again I asked them, where's the justice in that? And that, to me, is why I am strongly against the use of the death penalty in the United States.